You need to be a special
Yes.
type of human being to deal with. I made a mistake. And then I joined BNI and.
You belong to the same club.
Oh, I
same
agree.
club I
Oh,
belong
thank
to. Yes, honey, whatever.
Yes.
From the Costa and Associates office in Miami Lakes, we bring you the Miami Lakes Business Podcast, brought to you by the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. So good day, everyone. And today we have, as guest, we have the Costa family.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Ray Costa, who is the patriarch of the family. And we have Helen Costa, and we have Maurice Costa.
Hi, Fred.
And they, between the three of them, they are part of Costa and Associates, and they have a pretty diverse kind of company. But I'd like to get started and welcome you to our business podcast. As I told you, it's going to be a very easy going type of thing. It's not going to be stressful interview.
Thank you.
It's going to be more of a conversation than anything else. And actually, for the people to know, Costa Realty is actually located in the same building where the Graham Company is. They are the only tenants that the Graham Company have. So I'm sure it means something.
The only outsiders, yes.
The only outsiders.
And we have been here
So-
for what, 15 years
So
of it.
tell me a little bit about how the company got started. How you got started, Ray?
I think I chartered the company about 1962, I think it was. And I went to buy a house, and the guy was my friend, the broker. With your knowledge, you should be in real estate. So I jumped into real estate.
And you never did that before?
Not even that before.
Huh.
I'm a CPA or accountant by trade. So all the numbers that I know and everything, so I started the real estate business, and I was selling houses for about a month or so. All of a sudden I went to commercial. I jumped into the commercial side, and income producing property, land investments and so forth, and it grew to this, what we have now. I never knew there was going to be 50 years.
And it was going to grow this much.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the areas where you're.
Well, we started in Hialeah, as usual, like many Cubans.
Like all of us.
Yeah, like all of us. Okay. Hialeah was not even half of what is it today. And from there we jumped into Miami Lakes, and we really was part of the selling most of the investments, the land, and so forth, west of the Hialeah area. And we went through phases of Hialeah, like it grew from just a small town to what it's all today. Same thing with Miami Lake, expanded from and we're here. We are making. We have been recognized like being in commercial real estate for a long time, and and we bank on our experience and friends. We don't knock doors. People come to us. We know what they need. We serve them, and it's a nice community, a nice area. You can't complain.
And you were a young family.
I was very young.
Two of the kids are here.
Yeah.
And then you have another son.
Yeah, I have another son.
Right, and so they were very young when you started.
Yeah, they were just kids, and I put them through college, and there they are. They're lawyers and doctors and all that. So, but I've been successful. I've been very successful in this business, and we do good. We have a lot of friends. We make friends. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've been sued in my business in 50 years, and it's difficult because it's very difficult to be in this business not being sued for 50 years. So I'm on my way out, I guess. I know because of the time and the age, and it's about time to take it easy, I guess. But I don't know how to do that. That's my problem.
I don't either.
That's what my main problem is. I don't know how to do that.
I guess that our generation, which I'm not too far from where you are, maybe just a few years. We're a little bit different.
Yeah.
We were brought up in the life of hard knocks and
Yes,
a lot
yes.
of work. And,
A lot of work.
And not only in Cuba, but here when we started in the.
Yeah.
I think you came in from Cuba in 1959.
I left Cuba in '59. Went to Venezuela.
So that was right
3
after
years.
right after the revolution.
Right.
Yeah.
Castro came in January. We left in October.
Yeah.
So I really didn't suffer anything of the
Right.
of the hardship of the
Right.
Cubans. And I went to Venezuela for a couple of years, and from then jumped into the United States. And
But you did have to go through all the the
yeah,
heartaches and
all
the
the
headaches
and,
and the hard knocks.
hard knocks. Yeah, we had 2-3 jobs at the beginning, and I started. I even loaded. I worked for a paper company at the beginning when I came in, and I loaded trucks, and I did what had to be done.
Right. Yeah.
To put the kids in school and to get there, and until I started.
No, but you
my own
are
business.
definitely a success story.
Yeah, well,
And it's something that we're all proud of.
thank
to,
you. Okay.
To call you a friend, and
Thank you.
and to know each other, and so that's excellent.
Thank you.
So I know that we're talking about the real estate,
Yeah.
and Helen, we'll get to you shortly. But let's talk to Maurice, because Maurice is the attorney,
Yes.
the son that handles the real estate.
The real
part.
estate section of.
Okay,
yeah.
so Maurice, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into the business
All right.
and so far.
I'll do my best. So yeah, what he was saying. So he's Costa Realty, my dad, and I grew up watching him work and be successful at what he does. I went to when I went to law school. I kind of was like, this is going to be an easy transition for me. Hoping that I would be able to kind of take advantage of some of the connections that he's been making over the last 30, 40 years in that industry. So when I graduated from law school around the year 2000, Helen was already an attorney for quite some time, and she was already kind of doing some work. And I went to go work at a law firm doing kind of real estate, but it was more construction litigation, but they had promised me that I was going to do some title work. That day never came. So I was like, it's time to go, and I left, and I started working for Costa and Associates, essentially knowing that I wanted to do real estate transactions. And it was an easy transition for us because my dad had a lot of connections, and over the years, a lot of times he has a buyer or a seller, somebody in a transaction that needed to get a closing done. And he's like, I'm getting these deals to the table, and then now there's another attorney out there or somebody else
Getting paid for it.
You guys should learn how to do this, or you're talking to me, or you should learn how to do this, and you should take advantage. And so where I started essentially was is becoming familiar with the process, becoming friends with the contacts that he made over the year, learning what I want to say. I don't want to call it a guys club, but it's predominantly male. At least it was when I started. The commercial realtors. So learning how to interact with those with those people, and learning how to figure out what it is that I can do to help them grow their business, which I thought would in return help me grow mine. So yeah, I've been closing real estate transactions.
Tell us a little bit about some of the transactions that without
Yeah, I mean,
compromising anybody, but some of the transactions. I know you guys have been involved in the mega mall project.
Well, he
with
handled
the land. That,
he handled that in the real estate side, on the real estate Costa Realty. The name of our firm is called Costa and Associates, so we're the two attorneys, again, me and Helen. And essentially, we've closed all sorts of real estate transactions. Predominantly, what we prefer, what we enjoy doing the most, is land deals. Essentially, where a developer is going to buy, either subdivide, or plat it, or replat it, or figure out how to best develop for the highest and best use of that property. So we'll help in the transactional side. We don't really do land use and planning. We do predominantly the transactional work. We also do a lot of multifamily, mid-rise to low-rise multifamily in Hialeah, Miami-Dade County, sometimes in Broward. And then we also do commercial and industrial work. Mm-hmm. So as a result, we make ourselves available to the realtors. We make ourselves available to the bankers, to the mortgage brokers. Essentially, a lot of this industry is run on communication and who you know. And what I pride myself in is trying to make myself available at all times. So most of the times, most attorneys, maybe that are not in the real estate world, they don't give out their cell phone number. Or they're not talking by text. They're very systematic through a law firm. All the realtors that I work with, all the mortgage brokers, all the bankers, they'll call me, they'll text me, and what happens organically, actually, over time, we close so many deals together that we become friends.
Yeah.
We become friends, and it's sometimes I'll get more calls on the friendly side versus the deal side, and we'll get together and we'll talk and we'll keep the relationship growing. But essentially, my objective is just to try to stay available and to use my knowledge and experience to help them look better to their client.
Mm-hmm.
Because the client, the end user, rarely comes to me. In other words, I don't get a phone call from the buyer or the seller, hey, I need you to help me. Typically, I get a phone call from a realtor or from a banker or from a mortgage broker, say, hey, I got this deal that came in. They don't, if you're going to go buy real estate, you're not calling your attorney first. You're calling somebody with the money or somebody who can help you find the piece. And then those guys are the guys who call me. So that's where I build my relationships. And at the end of the day, when I do meet the client, typically they like what they see and they become repeat clients. I explain how we can benefit it. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I mean, we've had a pretty successful practice.
That's wonderful. How long have you been in the firm?
About 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, about 20
That's
years.
a long time. That's a lot.
And Miami Lakes the whole time. Just to give a little bit of background, since I know this is a Miami Lakes podcast. I was born and raised, I was born in Hialeah, but essentially raised in Miami Lakes. I went to all the Miami Lakes public schools they changed names now, but I went to all of them here. I got my first job here at the Cypress Village Shopping Center at Chicken Plus. Maybe some people remember Chicken Plus.
Oh, yeah,
and I credit a lot of my knowledge and experience to that job.
I remember the owners of Chicken Plus.
Well, they hired me. Now it's Pampered Chef with Gabe.
Yeah.
I got it at 15. I would ride my bike to work, and it was essentially a one-man shop. It was I do the register, fry the chicken, clean, close the. So they throw you in the wolves, and I think to me that was a critical.
That's what I told him.
Yeah, it was a critical stage because you kind of realize how to deal with all aspects of people and a boss, and then I did that for a little while, and then I went to go work at Sears in Westland Mall for like 6 years through my undergraduate career at University of Miami. I worked at Sears selling paint, and then luckily I was, with the help of my family, got into law school, and they kind of not that they helped me get in, but they encouraged me and made sure that I stayed on top of my schoolwork, and here I am.
That's a wonderful story. It's
Thank
a
you.
wonderful story,
Thank
and we're proud to have you.
Yeah.
In the town.
Thanks.
Me.
Thanks.
Can
I know
I?
you've been involved. I know you've been involved also in the BNI and.
Oh yeah,
You
we've
know.
been in BNI. I was skeptical about BNI because I had buddies who founded the Miami Lakes chapter, the BNI Excellence chapter of Miami Lakes. I had my really good friends. They were the ones who kind of created the chapter. Jose Llano, Manny Perez, and to some other guys. But those were like the main guys kind of pushing me in. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. And
He pushed me in.
And then eventually somebody
He
took
pushed
the
me.
title, real estate attorney title seat, because they only have one profession.
One of each.
One of each.
Trade, yeah.
And then 2 or 3 guys came in. Every time they would leave, they're like, hey, there's an opening. Why you should apply? And I'm like, you're crazy. And then one day they called me. It's like, hey, don't you do family law? I'm like, no, my sister's the same. Like, oh, well, the family law attorney.
We
is
can
no
get
longer,
you in.
we have an opening. And I'm like, I don't want to go. My sister does that. And then she went, and she fell in love with the system. And about 9 months later, I'm looking at the family law side, which I guess you're going to learn about in a minute.
Uh-huh.
The family law side of the practice growing because of BNI. I'm like, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. And then I joined BNI, and the relationships I had with those guys that were pushing me grew even bigger, and I've created a lot of new relationships, and the business has grown due to it. So I'm a BNI Miami Lakes member for as long as they'll have me.
And also the Chamber of Commerce. You guys are good, long-standing
Thank you.
members of the chamber as well.
Thank you.
It's, as you can see, it's kind of a diverse, but the most interesting thing is the final introduction here, which is with Helen.
Actually,
You know, Helen,
can I
good-
interrupt you? Can I interrupt
Yes.
a little bit?
Uh-huh.
Before we get into what you're calling the most interesting is, as Maurice was talking and my dad, I sat here and I'm listening to them. And I wanted to bring up something. I think it's important. It'll go to what we were talking about. So, a little bit less than 30 years ago, maybe 29, 28 years ago, I met a client. The client started buying like 4-unit, what do they call it? Multi-unit, 4 units.
Fourplex.
Then 8-unit, 4-plex, then an 8-plex. And we were obviously doing something right. Then we come back and like, okay, we're gonna add another one. And then at one point said, okay, I wanna sell them all. We were involved in all that process, sold all that. Him and his partner had a dream of having a hotel. We were part of the purchasing project of the hotel, and it was in South Beach. And managing and setting it up and all the legal things that are there. Then he sold that hotel. Then his next dream was shopping centers. So I'm just saying, over the span of maybe 25 years, it's the one client. So we obviously are doing something right,
Right.
to encourage them that we have their best interest at heart. So to us, it's the most rewarding thing for have that repeat caller, right? Because it's kind of like, you know, we did something right, and they felt it, they knew it, and so it kind of came with the real estate. Because I think that's on my end, on Costa and Associates end, that's probably the longest standing client that we have, and he's still our client.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd share
I think
that.
the most beautiful thing that anybody can see in business is the degree and the amount of customer loyalty.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you have good customer loyalty, beautiful things happen. You know, and it doesn't happen just by a miracle. It happens because of all the effort and all the work that the company has put forth into whatever projects and whatever relationships. You know, building relationships with people. But you know, we've talked about the creator here, Ray Costa, that started it all. Maurice, that has continued also with the with the real estate. But then Costa and Associates is also a law firm, and that law firm on the family side, which is totally different, but yet related. Because there are families that probably were involved in the purchase of a home or a building or a business, shopping center or whatever, some way, somehow need the services of a law attorney, and that's where you come in, Helen.
That's where I come in.
And tell me what a family
law attorney
involves.
So the family law umbrella, what I call, it's very diverse. A lot of people don't understand how many different areas and specific things are. So I will tell you that we concentrate on, I'm going to call it 2 main areas. One is what people, the bad word, but divorce. And the other one has to do with, let's say, custody arrangements. People that are not legally married, but they share kids, and so they have all those issues of how to raise the kids and who they're going to live with, and how can I go to vacation with them, and what school they're going to go to, and how am I, how's little Joey or little Mary going to go, what school, can they do tennis or not tennis, or can they play the piano, and so all those issues. So I deal with what I call a lot of drama, but the best part of it is most of my clients, I understand that for them to make that first phone call and call this office to ask for an appointment, that's such a huge step, because it just takes so much from them to even make that. It's like an acknowledgement in some way of, right? It's like, I didn't do something right. It's the first feeling they have. So we help them see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that they're not the only person in the whole wide world going through this very unique situation. It's unique to them, and there's a lot of laws out there that I always say is, if you get an experienced family law attorney, you're in good hands, right? Because they can show you what reality can really look at and show you what that light looks like. So I call it something. It's a roller coaster of a ride to get there most of the time. But I'm very happy that I love what I do. There are moments in the day that I don't like, but I love what I do, because I realize when we finish it, that person just feels like a big, huge weight just off their shoulders. And when you meet up with them later, whether it's a year later or 5 years later, and how they're doing, and they're all smiles, and no regrets. You know that you help them in a good way.
Hmm. So you do serve sometimes as a mediator.
I do that too.
You know, with the families,
I do.
which they need. You know, somebody that would understand both sides.
Yes.
And try to work out an amicable
Yes.
solution.
So I'll actually explain. So as an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Florida, I chose, right, the family law division, and that's mostly what I do. Like I said, divorces and custody and parenting plans and all that fun stuff. But I also, I can't tell you how many years ago, but at least 5-6 years ago, I became a Florida Supreme Court certified family law mediator.
Oh.
And so I wear that hat. It's very different than the attorney hat. So I kind of wear different hats, and depending on what hat I wear is how I can do things.
Depending on the situation.
Exactly. But as a mediator, I basically sit as a neutral party with a lot of knowledge and experience and try to help two individuals work out within the law certain things. When I wear my lawyer hat, I have a duty and a responsibility to my client, right? So I have to represent them and counsel them, not the other side. So it's a very different thing. But what I love the most is within the family law division, there was a law that was passed several years ago. It's called the collaborative law practice. And so what it did was it created this new avenue to get to the courthouse and get divorced. And what I mean by that is instead of going to court and the litigation, and it's very ugly. There's a lot of, in Spanish, los trapos sucios, everything comes out. It's not pretty. There's a way to avoid all that if both parties are, I'm going to call it, at a level of personal maturity to understand it's not, I don't have to hate you, you don't have to hate me, but if we can be two adults and sit down and kind of work things out in the collaborative process, you kind of avoid court completely till the very end. And then whatever you discuss stays confidential. You do this in private meetings. Even the settlement agreement, the terms, your financial data, all that is kept out of the public
And you
record.
can handle all that?
Absolutely,
Wow.
yes.
Wow.
I've been doing that for a
Interesting.
long time. So
Interesting.
I love helping families, but when they actually choose that option, the collaborative process, I know it's gold for them. Why? Because they're staying out of that, the trapo sucio part, all the litigation. And what a lot of people don't realize is like, oh, I'm going to take him or her to court. I'm going to go there. So when you go to court, you don't sit there and say, Judge, let me tell you the story. Let me tell you my story. It's not that way at all. So even the few words that you can get out are very cut up. The other thing is you have an issue now, you ask for a hearing date. And for example, right now, we're getting hearing dates in September and October. You have an issue right now. We're in May. You don't want to wait till September or October, and then, clients are like, can't we do something? Can we change judges? No, it doesn't work that way. So the collaborative process allows us, when there's an issue, is we can have a meeting tomorrow. We can have a meeting on Saturday. If everybody's together.
With a solution.
Absolutely. And the proper purpose of that is to sit at a table and talk about the bad, the ugly, and the nice, and get that all done without having to wait for the court.
That's wonderful.
But
that is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot easier sometimes in whatever situation.
Yes.
They don't have to wait
Yes.
or sit there in the courtroom. And sometimes it's
A lot of people don't see it that way. They don't understand it. So a big part of my consultations is educating them. Like, there's more than one way to get to the courthouse.
Do you ever, between you and Maurice, do you ever get involved in the inner cooperation or inner work?
Absolutely.
You doing titles or whatever, and then Maurice doing the divorce.
Well,
It's happened once or twice over the 20 years, but I do my best to avoid,
wait for her.
Yeah, to avoid having to deal with family issues. I mean, you need to be a special
Yes.
type of human being to deal with
special.
other people's
Yeah.
problems. It's not. I mean, it's really difficult because you have to have a certain level of compassion, and you have to you have to have a trained ear and be willing. How to filter through their stories what it is that you
Yes.
really need to get them to the finish line, because they're looking at it from an emotional perspective, and she has to interpret that and say, okay, what do I need here to get you divorced
Right.
or custody
Right,
or
right.
child support or alimony or all the different things that are. So I mean, I really don't.
Well, sometimes in a divorce, there is a sale of
Oh, 100%. I was
assets,
going to say is
Yeah.
which could be
Okay.
a home, could be a business,
no,
could
that-
be
that,
a,
yes.
Absolutely. So yes, in that matter, yes. A lot of times the court will sometimes appoint or ask her to recommend a realtor if there's a marital home or a marital property that needs to be sold, and then using that avenue, we can try to say, hey, we have people here who can help you. People being me, and so we have had those situations, and a lot of times in divorces, also there's situations where like the marital home, right? So after the divorce, the house is under husband and wife, and then now husband or wife is going to stay with the property. So there is some real estate paperwork that needs to be done in order to take either the husband or the wife off title, and that's where I step in and I assist.
I think the two different laws that we practice in Costa and Associates.
kind of complement at times.
I will tell you,
at
it
times,
does.
not every
Absolutely.
time, but-
So many times, for example, there have been instances where he's in the middle of a transaction where something comes up because of the husband's wife and that kind of stuff, and so in-house, and he doesn't need to go consult with a seasoned family law attorney. And in my case, vice versa, it's the same thing. There's many of the times, for example, in my client, the parties agreed to sell the house, or the parties agreed that one of them have to refinance, or one of them actually gives title over to the other one. So as much as I have let's say at this point, a cursory knowledge of real estate, I did both of them for a long time, but I haven't done real estate for 15 years. I think exclusively, or maybe more than 15. Years keep passing, Fred, and I forget
You
to
don't
add
realize,
the
you don't
year.
realize.
So somewhere, let's call maybe 19 years. I've exclusively been doing family, and by that I say is when I do have an issue or one of my clients. I have, when you're working on a case, the other side, the opposing counsel will be like, I have to check with a real estate attorney. The benefit our clients have is like, I'm going to go through this door and I'll have the answer in a few minutes. So they definitely do complement
it's
each
kind
other.
of a one-stop service, what
100%.
you have here, which is, hopefully, a lot of people consider before getting a divorce and, things like that. I know that they can get pretty ugly at times, yeah, absolutely. I consider myself fortunate that I've been married to the same woman for 58 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
And I know you've been married to yours for a long, long time also.
Yes, just 10 more than yours.
Yeah, a little more. So,
And it would be fair to interrupt to say is, I know he's here and he's the patriarch, but I know my mom, who's not sitting here, she's the woman behind the scenes. So I know
it usually is.
She was. She's really been, I say,
The Rock.
the rock and pushing all of us, including my older brother who's not here.
It usually is.
So not that to take credit away from you, but Mom
No.
gets a lot of credit too.
Certainly,
just to put up with us.
It's been a real pleasure to.
I agree. 100%.
You belong to the same club.
Oh, I
the same
agree.
club I
Oh,
belong
same
to. Yes, honey, whatever.
Yes. I have the last word. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
now if clients are going to hear that, they're going to say, I'm gonna get less business because people are going to start saying, yes, honey.
No, but it's really been. I mean, I've known you guys. More him and you and Maurice. Just a little, but it's been a real pleasure. Sharing this experiences with such residents of our town that.
Yeah, we have been here for a long, long time.
That are
I mean,
so much respected, and not only on the personal side, but also on the business side.
Yeah.
And that it's just a wonderful thing to do. So we thank you so much for accepting
thank you.
our invitation to
thank
be
you.
part of our business podcast. And
I want to thank you. I also
We
want to
thank you
thank
very
Tico
much.
because if I don't thank
we
Tico,
gotta thank Tico. Yes,
Thank you, Tico.
I don't think the podcast
And Matthew.
will go out.
Thank you,
And
Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The whole
team. So there we have it. It's been a very interesting podcast. Until next time.